So, thinking this would be an interesting project, I decided to take the A800 apart. The servos weren't even glued in, and another carbon fibre rod rears its head. This has some stability built into the wing, even though it flexes quite a bit. The actual horns with the plastic bits that clip are quite easy to prise out. You just shove your fingernails under them and pull them off, and then pop them on for safekeeping for later. Managed to prise some of the body apart, more of this in a moment, to try and get to the electrics that are all inside, and the longer arms to the tail and rudder. So making an incision here. Little did I know the trickiest bit would be the motor at the front, but more of that in a bit. So further spread apart, you can see the actual board with all the things coming off it. I've taken the motor lead off at this point. That's the tiny little hole on the bottom left, and there are even more carbon rods inside the body itself for stability. You can see in there, along with the actual control arms. Tail removed and everything, and unscrewed. So coming apart quite nicely. That's the motor cable, and an even clearer view of the inside now, with the servo arms running down the whole length. So the idea was to remove those with the board, leave the carbon fibre rods in there, and replace those onto the newer body. Now a full, what do they call this? Where they slice it down the middle. Yeah, fully remove the other side. You can see there the control rods and the carbon. On the other side of the body pulled apart. Has some strengtheners built in. Little plastic pieces here and there. And the bottom skid's viewable there. Cross section, that's what you call them. This was the beginning of the end. That motor is glued in tight, as opposed to all the other bits, which came out quite easily. There's the control arms again. The motor has some kind of plastic housing around it, which is then glued to the outer shell. And boy, is it glued. That's the base plate off the motor. I'm not even sure what that does. It's a see-through piece of plastic held in by 3 little screws, and there were 2 bigger screws, one of which are completely lost while removing the motor. Yeah, had to pretty much rip that out of the body itself. How on earth I thought I was going to mount that in the new body, I have no idea. It's all sorts of spines and plastic bits to stick out to keep it stable. This is the new body with an opening cut out just above the wings, with just enough polystyrene left underneath to keep the wings in place, as there's no real internal cavity in this plane I could use due to the way the wings were configured. I'd cut the arms out for flaps ready and fed the servo wires through, along with the battery wire and the motor wire, thinking I'd done quite a good job so far. Yeah. And then started hollowing it out. The best tool for that was actually a screw, to just sort of channel in and dig out bits of polystyrene. It was at this point I noticed that the nose was getting significantly weaker because of this channeling, and thoughts of how to strengthen that came to mind. I then decided to insert the motor, and as you can see, this was where the biggest problems happened. What a waste. That was pretty much the end. Once I'd cut into the body to try and insert the motor, all strength went from the front end, and it weighed a ton at the front as well. It really did. Unfortunately, the design differences of this plane also left that the control arms, those rods going back, didn't line up properly with the internal sort of way of doing this, and instead I meant to go on the outside. Completely hashed it, I'll be honest. What a disaster. Thanks for watching.